morning, guys. Welcome to the Vital Axiom on Wednesday. Beautiful day here, sun shining bright, cloudless sky. A little bit of a warm-up. I'm ready for spring. Come on, baby. A few more weeks. Hope you guys are doing good. We're going to start the show here at 11:30. If you didn't know that already, we got about a minute and a half, something like that. We'll be jumping off the cliff. Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned into the Vital Axiom Network. And so we broadcast this program daily at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Vital Axiom. You might want to know, well, what is the Vital Axiom? Well, vital means crucial. Axiom means truth. In this case, crucially important, eternal truth, because we use the Word of God as a foundation for our conversations. And we're about to do that again. So welcome to the show as we get ready for another edition of the Vital Axiom. Hello, my friends from around the world. So good to have you guys on the show today. Hope you're doing great. I'm ready for winter to be over. I really am, but I'm good. I'm good. We've had a break here, and the snow's kind of let up for a bit, and had some 40s. May have a 50 by Friday. 50s. I'm good. It'll come back, I'm sure, because winter really sneaks in and goes, ha ha ha, gotcha. Today is number 1549. We're almost at 1550 on broadcast. It's getting close. We're about to wipe that out. How's everybody doing today? Hope you're doing well. Let's see who's in here. We do a little shout-out portion. If you say something, we try to shout back at you. I won't shout. Come on. I see Robert's in here. Good morning, Robert. Good to see you in. My mom and dad are here. Good sunshiny morning. Love you, Mom. Good to see you. Miss Betty's in here from down North Carolina. And Miss Dottie's here. She's also here praying for Mom and Dad. Thank you so much, Mom. They really need it. It's a life struggle for them, and, of course, they know that. Cheyenne's here. Good morning, Cheyenne. Uncle Aaron's here with Debbie. No sound. Everybody got sound. Nobody else is saying no sound but Aaron. Maybe he needs to reboot. Everybody good? Jesus is Savior. Anybody else having sound issues? I'm making sure. He says he has sound now. Good. Okay, good. All right. Just double checking. Miss Becca made it in. Becca's in here. Michael Miller's in the house. Miss Catherine's here broadcasting how you can give to the show. Ms. Woodruff, Timmy Owens in the house. Pray for my head, please. Oh, my goodness, just busted it on a concrete wall. That sounds like something we should have a video of. I'm just kidding. We'll definitely pray for you. That sounds very painful. Over on the Zion Family Ministries page, Miss Wanda got in. Good morning. Wanda Kay is here. Heather's here. Patty's here. Shelly is here. And so many of you talking about praying for my parents. I really appreciate that. And I know they do. And that's everybody that's saying anything. Remember, if you don't make a comment, you don't have to. It's okay. Here's an old song I hadn't done in years. Let me see if I can remember. I know who this is by, but it won't come to me right now. Clint Brown. That's right, Clint Brown. It's an old Clint Brown tune that we used to do a long time ago. And I don't know, it just came into my spirit today. I was just kind of singing it, sitting here by myself. So I thought we could just sing it together. What do y'all think? It's called Breathe on Me. I think you'll like it. power of the Holy Spirit in our lives in a mighty, mighty way. Good to see you guys on here. Let's see if anybody else jumped in before we get into our little conversation today about perspective. Steve got in. Good morning, Steve. Cameron's here. Good to see you, Cameron. Anybody else? Luann got in. Joe got in. Good morning, Joe. Frankie, good morning. Good to see you ladies on there. Mr. Doty is here. Morning, brother. I see Lisa got in from British Columbia. And, I've seen more about Canada in the last couple of weeks than I ever have my whole life, I think. But I'm supporting all those people and their freedoms and their rights. Hey, let's look at our conversation. We're talking this week about perspective. We use the servant of Elijah as an example of how he went outside, and in his natural perspective, all he could see was death. Gloom and doom, they were done for. And but Elijah had a different perspective. Looking at the same circumstances, he had a godly perspective. He prayed over his servant, which some of that's real important information we're going to bring to the end of the week. And his servant saw those mighty, mighty chariots of God, the chariots of fire surrounding about, and they were safe, and they walked through, and God blinded them. Pretty crazy. So here's where we ended up. Let me just go back over the list we did yesterday. Your perspective literally dominates your life's direction. And I'll go through a quick list of what I read yesterday. For example, if your perspective is fear, you'll be tormented. If your perspective on life is hurt, you will not trust and always be expecting to be hurt in every situation. If your perspective is anger, you'll see reasons for reaction all the time. You'll be road raging. If your perspective is depression, you'll never be optimistic. If your perspective is self, you'll always be narcissistic. You always make it about yourself. If your perspective is victim, you'll always be mistreated. You'll be the one at the bottom of the totem pole. Finally, if your perspective is insecurity, you will never be good enough, never be attractive enough, never be smart enough. So here's where we ended up yesterday. This is the last thing we said yesterday. It's time to evaluate your position. What is your vantage point? All of us are at some stage in life. Some of us are teenagers on here. Some of us are keenagers, or whatever those words are for people way up there like me. And we're everything in between. So we have experience, and we have Christianity, all these things we bring to the table. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, what are we looking through? Obviously, the servant of Elijah was probably a godly person because he traveled with Elijah. And so Elijah probably would have somebody working for him that believed in God and walked with God. He just didn't have the faith that Elijah had. He didn't have the perspective that Elijah had. So what you have to do is ask yourself, what lens do I look at life through? What lens? What has shaped me? What has made me? Because we kind of paint every situation with that perspective. And it doesn't, if you have on rose-colored glasses, they have that too. And I remember one time I got like some red, purpley lens glasses. They were so cool, but everything looked so different through them. It didn't look anything near normal. Here's what I told the church on Sunday. Normally, people are not interested in changing or even considering their perspective. Now, I've done a lot of counseling in my life. I talked about this earlier this week. Lots and lots and lots of counseling on every level, marriage and personal and even criminal and all kind of stuff, spiritual. And I found out this is what I believe. The greatest thing I can ever do for anybody in counseling is help them get a different perspective on the same circumstances. To look at what's ever in your life differently, through different eyes. And this happened for me early on in ministry. I mean, very early. Before I really saw any success, I was a young youth pastor. And there were some people who really, honestly, I believe from this point, wanted my position. They wanted me out, and they wanted to take over. And so they were working behind the scenes to turn people against me and building an attack strategy. And they did. They eventually attacked me. And it's a long story, and I've told it before, but I'll just give you the synopsis. I remember after it went down, after they attacked me, and it was just, I was so mad and angry. I was deer hunting the next day and sitting in the deer stand just early in the morning. The sun hasn't risen. And the Lord starts talking to me, and he says, hey, what's going on? And I knew what he was talking about. He was talking about the way I felt about these people. And I said, well, I want to hate them, but I know you won't let me. And the Lord said, let me give you another perspective. He didn't say those words, but this is what he did say, and this is what he was doing. He says to me, well, Wayne, did they nail you to a cross? And I'm like, I didn't have that perspective, that's for sure. And I said, that's not fair. That's what I said, big baby. And the Lord spoke back to me and said, Wayne, you may have every reason to hate these people, but you don't have any right because you gave that up when you came to me. You can't hate people. And I was like, ugh. He said, furthermore, this is the real perspective change. Who are you? I mean, it was so clear, those words to me, and they hurt. They stung like an arrow into my heart. Who are you? I know what he meant. You know, you must think you're somebody to get your feelings all hurt and be angry, that you're so important. And it wasn't that he was saying that I wasn't important. It was what I saw myself in my own eyes. And the Lord, in that experience that day, I prayed a prayer, had a vision. It was pretty crazy. What I understood is that my perspective changed. So same circumstances, they still had bawled me out and said terrible things about me and had gone behind my back and turned people against me. Same thing, but I realized that it had nothing to do with me. And you're like, what? What do you mean it had nothing to do with you? Well, the Lord revealed to me that day this thing that has changed my life forever. That just because somebody's acting some way toward me, doesn't mean it has anything to do with me at all. This is who they were. Who would do these kind of things? Who would take a youth pastor and blast him for an hour and a half? Who would do that? Even if they felt those feelings, who would do something so, that's odd. And I realized right then in the vision the Lord gave me that my perspective needed to change and stop making it about me and understand, listen now, that the red flags and the things that I had felt toward these people were accurate, and they were just showing me, aren't you glad you didn't put us in authority in ministry? They were showing me that. So why would I be mad? In fact, why wouldn't I expect it? If I go to a cage where a dog is who's very vicious and it says beware of dog, and I stick my hand in the cage and he bites me, should I take that personal? Well, look at that. I hate you, dog. Or should I know that's a biting dog? He has this habit of biting. And it doesn't make any difference whose hand it is. It wasn't because it was my hand. It was because it was just something to grab onto. And so, man, the Lord changed my perspective that day. And I'm telling y'all, I've never been the same since. I do not look at people the same way. And that's good because it saves me from so much heartache. And had I allowed it, what those people did would have made me bitter and unforgiving and resentful. And I would have never gone anywhere in ministry because you can't do great work for God's kingdom with those things in your life. So normally I found out people are not interested in changing or even considering their perspective because it can be painful. It can be confrontational when you find out how you're viewing life. This is what happens to us, and you are in this place, I promise you are, in some area of your life. We get embedded in our perspectives. This is my perspective on life, and I'm going to look at everything that way. I'm embedded in it. We've lived the same way, the same perspective for so long, it requires, now listen, here's what I want you to see. We've lived in it so long that it's going to require honesty, commitment, and effort to begin to see things differently. I want to tell you this, a couple of things. Number one, all of us need to see things differently. Number two, you can. You can do it by the grace of God, but it's going to require honesty from you. You're going to have to be honest and say, yeah, you're right, God, like I did that day. Not bragging on me because that's just what happened. I said, yeah, I want to hate him. What I want to do is hate. I would like to punch in the face. That's what I was feeling because I was following my flesh. And my little baby flesh in its baby immature state was being offended. By the way, if you live with a chip on your shoulder, I promise you somebody will knock it off every day of your life, if that's your perspective on life. For you to change, for you to have a new perspective on life, first of all, you're going to have to be honest. And it may be some time of discovery to find out what it is that why you're looking at life the way you're looking at it. Number two, you're going to have a commitment to change. Okay, Lord, because I prayed that day when the Lord said those things to me, and I was shaking even more. I'm like, what is happening? I said, okay, God, you're going to have to let me see like you see. Man, when I prayed that prayer, y'all, it came up out of here. I said, Lord, you're going to have to help me see them the way you do. Boom. He granted that prayer, and I could, and I understood, wow, these people really, wow. All of a sudden, honestly, y'all, I had compassion. I did. I felt sorry for them, which is crazy because in 10 minutes before, I couldn't stand them. And it wasn't like I was in love with them or wanted to go on vacation with them after that, but I understood that what I was experiencing wasn't really about me. It was about something in their life, their problem, their trouble. So I had to be honest with God and say, God, you're going to have to help me see them the way you do because I can't make this change on my own. And then the effort. The effort. Because, I would see them again. I would be around them again. And I would have to make the effort to really stick to the change in perspective. Here's some things I want you to see about your life. Number one, Elijah's servant needed a miracle. He needed a miracle, or he would have lived his life in fear and possibly been apprehended by those if he didn't see the miracle of God. So he needed a miracle, and so number two, we will too. On that day when I'm up on High Knob in a deer stand, I needed God to do a miracle in my perspective. And after he confronted me with the truth, and the honesty was exchanged, then I needed a miracle because I still felt the same way. I didn't feel any different, even though I said, I'm sorry, God. I still felt the same way. And then God touched my eyes. I'm telling y'all, he touched my eyes. There was a miracle. A spiritual miracle took place in my life. And it's funny because the next time I saw them was around Christmas, and they gave me some pencils with their names on them. And I'm like, wow, this is funny. This is so funny because I understood right then what God had done. I was able to giggle. Didn't make me mad or disgusted because my perspective on those people had changed. Elisha's servant needed a miracle, and we will too. I want to close today a few minutes talking about Paul the Apostle and just point out some things that took place in his life. We all know Paul the Apostle. He was a guy who had license from the Israeli government, from the high priest, to go out and kill Christians, literally. He could kill them, and he did. He stoned Stephen. Popular belief is that he stood and held Stephen's coat while they stoned him to death. Got him a coat to take to the rummage sale. And here's what happened to him. One day I was on such a mission to Damascus to do the same thing, armed with the authority. This is Acts 26:12. Armed with the authority and commission of the leading priests. He was justified in what he was doing. About noon, Your Majesty, he's telling this to a king. I was on the road, and a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, shone down on me and my companions. Now, light represents sight, so stick with that. We fell down, and I heard a voice saying to me in Aramaic, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? It is useless for you to fight against me, against my will. And verse 15 says this, who are you, Lord, he says. And I asked, and the Lord replied, I am Jesus, the one you are persecuting. Now get to your feet, for I have appeared to you to appoint you as my servant and my witness. I want you to see what he says for him to do. Tell the people that you have seen me, and tell them what I will show you in the future, and I will rescue you from both your own people and the Gentiles. Yes, I am sending you to the Gentiles to open their eyes, that's a perspective change, so that they may turn from darkness, that's a perspective change, to light, from the power of Satan to God, perspective change. Then they will receive forgiveness for their sins, after perspective change, and be given a place among God's people who are set apart by faith in me, to open their eyes so they may turn from darkness to light and from the power of Satan to God. So now we know that literally that God changed Saul's perspective and became Paul after that. We know that when he was prayed for by Ananias that something like scales fell off his eyes and he could see again, perspective change. Then Jesus said, I'm sending you to change other people's perspective. And that's what happened. And they came to Christ. So let me close with this thought today. Jesus came to change our perspectives. He did that for Saul. He did it for Peter, James, and John, and Matthew, all the disciples and all the people that followed him. He changed their perspective. They began to look at life a different way. They began to see that they were sinners. They began to see they needed a Messiah. They began to understand that God is love and God is forgiving and he's a deliverer and he's a chain breaker. Today, as we close the show, I want you to think about your life, and I want you to evaluate your perspective. How are you looking at your life? How are you looking at people, your spouse, your kids? What is your perspective? Is it a self-centered, narcissistic perspective? Is it a liberal, godless perspective? Is it a wounded perspective, an angry perspective? Why don't you stop and say, Lord, open my eyes like you did Paul's eyes. Help me to see as you see. Help me to understand and comprehend, because perspective is more than just what pops into your retinas. It's what goes through your heart and mind. God changes all. Okay, guys, I'll be back tomorrow as we work on the ending of this message tomorrow and Friday. Some cool stuff coming. Just want to tell you guys I love you and appreciate you. This show's over for today. Have a blessed Wednesday. Get yourself to church. If somewhere around you has church tonight, come together in fellowship if you can. Love you guys. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching The Vital Axiom. It stands for Crucially Important Eternal Truth, brought to you from the Word of God. Just want to take a deep breath and pause here and say thank you for being a part of our Vital Axiom family and watching this broadcast every day and being a part of these crucially important eternal conversations. Bless you guys. Bye, 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 bye. Have a good day, Luann. Hey, thank you, Cheyenne. God bless you. Thank you, Lord, for that. That's so good. Thank you, Shine. Bless you. Have a wonderful day, Lisa. Anybody else in there wishing goodbye-byes? Thank you so much, Shelly. Bless you, Shelly. Bless you, Heather. I don't want to miss anybody. Let's see. I think that's everybody. Okay, guys, I'll see you guys. Watch tonight if you want to. Our services are at 7 p.m. You can go to Facebook and go to Zion Family Ministries. You'll find us. Love ya. See ya. Have a blessed day. Dodie. Michael, bless you, buddy. Thank you so much.